What you know about me? I seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? I done it all, just want it all. Oh, what you know about me? I seen it all, heard it all. Oh, what you know about me? Oh, what you know about me? Oh, what you know about me?
Hey, y'all, welcome back to another episode of More Than the Title. I'm your host, as usual, Jared, Chief Revenue Officer, Outside the Box Digital. And you know what it is, man? We are coming on episode 282. First of all, before we begin, I want to say shout out to everybody that supported across every platform, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook. Yesterday, we did our longest podcast to date, and the engagement we got was insane. So I want to say shout out to my brother, Jetlag G. If you guys haven't seen it, his story is incredible. Like, this dude's story was incredible. We went 4.5 hours talking. It didn't even seem like, I'm like, God damn, it's like 4 hours. And we just, next thing you know, we just chopping it up. So that's my brother. I want to say thank you to him. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, everybody who had left a comment, engaged with us. Like, that shit was real, man. And we about breaking records here, man. 4 hours. So I kind of said it yesterday, but I kind of want to reiterate that. Like, you know, the reason why we're able to have, you know, amazing guests is just through relationships, man. I met that brother Jetlag G 15 years ago working in sales, just being a real brother and being in the trenches with him, and to be able to call him on a random Sunday, be like, yo, bro, I need you Tuesday, and he pull up and give a 4-hour interview was just incredible, man. So, you know, and there's also another thing I want to talk to you guys about is just your dedication, man. Consistency. Look at what we're doing right now. I've got so many opportunities coming down the pipeline. We've got so many great interviews lined up for the next couple of months. We got trips lined up for the next couple of months. We got some amazing things we're doing, and it wouldn't happen without the support of y'all, man. But also, like I said, the dedication for me. I got to show up every day. I barely got a voice. I was talking for 4 hours yesterday, and my ass shows up today. Cut my hand today. Gonna need a couple stitches. Still show up. Don't matter. The show always goes on, man. So if it ain't anything, man, when you got hard work and you got talent, you put those both together, there's no way anybody can stop you. And I want to be a living proof of that. I want to be a living testimony of that. So on episode 282, our 31st episode of 2026, we're going to have a great time. This is Fam Appreciation. I got an amazing brother about to come on with an amazing story. We're going to chop it up, have a good time. And this is what it's about, man. This ain't my platform. This is our platform. This is our platform. We got to show our stories. We got to tell our stories, tell our narratives. Because if we don't, who will? In a way that we want it to be told. It's not too many platforms out there, and I'm dedicating myself to this. I'm dedicating this platform for people with dope stories that actually put in the work. So if you're that, just like this brother who's about to come on did, hit me up. Let me know. Let me know you're interested. I'll get you on the show. And we'll have a great time, and you'll be celebrated the right way. And with that being said, let's get into it.
Let's start the show.
Yes, sir, y'all. So first of all, for the first-time listeners, welcome to More Than the Title. This is a show that go beyond the titles, labels, accolades, surface-level talk. It's about real conversations, real stories, real struggles, and the real person behind the name. So if you didn't hear it, I'm your host, Jared Thomas, and today's conversation is one that embodies resilience, faith, and the power of just rewriting your story, man. This brother's life journey challenges everything you think you know about limitations. Born the 19th of 21 children in Wisconsin, this brother's early life was marked by poverty, loss, dysfunction. What was meant to be a place of refuge, a homeless shelter founded by his mother, became a space filled with chaos and instability. But one thing he didn't do is let circumstances define him. Through his faith, determination, sheer fortitude, he rose above it all, earning a business degree, a business administration degree, and becoming an author of his powerful autobiography, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. His story reached national platforms like Ebony Magazine, Black Enterprise Magazine, Travis Smiley, Tom Joyner, Fox and Friends, and now he's on your favorite podcast for the very first time. He's not just a survivor, he's a voice reminder that ain't where you come from, that dictate where you're going, and only you can write your story. So with that being said, let's introduce my brother, Mr. Paul Lamar Hunter, y'all. Yeah, hell of an intro, bro. That's just woo.
Hey, man, I tell you what, I am excited to be on your show. More Than a Title. Man, that is awesome. more than a title.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, I just love it, man, because
Appreciate you.
my story is going to resonate with your listeners, because my mother actually birthed 21 children by my dad. Let me say it again. My
Woo.
mother birthed 21 children by my dad. My
Damn. Yeah, I thought it at home like, woo, that's a big number.
I have to say this. My mother is incredible. My father is incredible. Because if you look at today's society, it's different from the era that my mother and father grew in.
Fact.
21 children. And so you have to really sit back and think, how many years did this woman stay pregnant? 15 straight years.
15 straight years of being, oh my goodness.
And listen,
But that's for the ladies. I know the ladies say she. That's for the ladies. Damn.
so that means that my father, man, he was just tearing my mother up. He couldn't let my mother get a break, man. They say they say it takes 6 weeks for a woman to recover. I can say it right now. My father could not wait till those 6 weeks expires so he can go back to Pound Town.
I gotta ask you. So what was the profession like? What did Pops do for when you was growing up and mom? I'm assuming she was like a stay-at-home mom, right?
My father worked two jobs. Case manufacturer, and he worked for Bale City in the factory. My father was a factory worker, and
Hmm.
also my mother, she worked part-time 4 hours a day, but mainly she was at home trying to raise the children. And that's the reason why I'm so grateful for my father, for my mother, and also for my siblings, because if it wasn't for my parents and my siblings, I wouldn't be here talking to you. And let me say this,
Wow.
all right? You cannot mess with me. Why? Because there are 10 brothers that I have, 11 sisters, 65 grandchildren, and 87 great grandchildren. So, hey,
Ooh.
if you say something derogatory, we will come get you.
Shit, y'all family reunion food bill is crazy. She got to get sponsored.
hey, hey, we should have it sponsored.
That's crazy. So what is it like? First of all, so pops is working, mom's is working, man. You got a family, you got stability there. You got a great big family. What's it like being a 19th child out of 21? Like, what is it? What is living conditions like, bro? Like,
Well, I have to tell this story.
okay.
My mother was pregnant with the 14th child, my brother. At that time, they were living in a two-bedroom house. One day, the sheriff came knocking at the door. The sheriff came because he had a complaint. He wanted to see how many people was living in this two-bedroom home. He discovered it was 14 people uh, living in this home. Plus, my mother was pregnant at that particular time. So he told my parents that they had 72 hours to vacate. My parents always had faith in God. My parents always believed that God was going to provide a miracle. So they went to church that day. And when they went to church at night, they told the pastor that they need a prayer. They told what was going on. So back in them days, they will place you in a circle, and then they will surround you, and they will lay hands on you, believing that God will perform a miracle. And let me say this: the next day, an unexpected man showed up knocking on the door. He wanted to show my parents an 18-bedroom house. He took my mother and father. to see this 18-bedroom house, my brother.
Wow.
Mom and dad loved the place. The man said, "This home is yours." Only thing he wanted was $1. Do you hear what I said? This man only wanted $1. Do you know my father and mother did not have 10 dimes. They did not have 100 pennies in their pockets. They did not have $1 in their pocket. The
Wow.
man went into his wallet and gave my parents that dollar, and my parents gave it back to him. That's how they own the house. Miracles after miracles had happened in the Hunter family. And that house, that 18-bedroom house, I was born in that house. That house was a miracle home for the Hunter family.
Wow. First, how did he find your fam? How did he find Pops and Mama Love, right? He just heard about somebody's going around town like, yo, they got 15 kids over. The shit's real. Like, how did
The
he?
man, the man found out about the Hunter family story is because the church members were spreading news. Just imagine, we did not have social media. Do you
Wow.
understand that back in them days? We did not have social media. It was basically word of mouth, word of mouth. And it spread around the city of Racine, Wisconsin, about what was happening in the Hunter family home. And that's how my mother and father got that home, because somebody was telling somebody else. And it's called, what you call, is advertisement by word of mouth.
Mm. Advertising by word of mouth. I'm getting comments. Shout out to Cuzzo, Tiffany on Instagram, AD, a bunch of DC, all my people over there. Yo, they said that's crazy. They said that only can be God. That can only be God, right? So, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So, first of all, what did the dude do who gave y'all the house? How did he become in the
Well,
position of this 18-bedroom house?
he was an entrepreneur, according to my parents, and also he owned a lot of homes in the city of Racine, Wisconsin. And you
Wow,
know, in the Bible, it says it's better to give than receive.
wow,
So
wow,
when that man gave my parents the house, do you know, a couple years later, it really prompted my mother to start the first homeless shelter in the city of Racine, Wisconsin.
wow,
So my mother, she is the first woman to birth 21 children by my dad, but also she is the first woman to open a homeless shelter in the city of Racine, Wisconsin. So in 1970, she opened the first homeless shelter in Racine, Wisconsin. And do you know what? When before she started to open that shelter, she was impregnated with me on the inside. So
wow.
not only did she birth love and charity, she also birthed me at the same time. Isn't that remarkable?
That is that. Oh, come on, bro. That get a horn and a clap. I get a horn and a clap. You know what I mean? That's amazing, bro. So damn. That's so. What were the stories that your siblings would tell you about life, how life was before y'all moved into the house?
Well, they told me it was a struggle because
Yeah.
um, it was a struggle because dad was working two jobs at that particular time, mom working a part-time job. So some of my older siblings had to forego their education. And, you know, some of them had to um, run home after school so they can get other children off the bus and get prepared to start cooking. So my older siblings were a blessing in my life. And if it wasn't for my older siblings, man, I tell you what, man, I can't emphasize this. I wouldn't be here speaking with you because they basically developed me into the person that I am today.
That's right. Well, what's some of the best gems that the family gave, like whether it be pop, mom, or one of your siblings? What's one of the things they told you that resonates with you today?
Today, the power of prayer, the
Okay.
power of prayer. And I'm telling you, you might be down today and you facing adversity. You have to remember that the power of prayer can open up doors. And you know, things can change instantly by the snap of your finger, how God can move uh, on your life. That's the reason why, the title of my mother's book is Love and Charity, the life story of Louise Hunter in the Love and Charity Homeless Shelter. This book right here is a strong, powerful book for men and women. My mother and father grew up in Vicksburg, Mississippi. They had to endure the Jim Crow system. They had to endure the KKK. So, what made my mother and father so strong in this book is because what they had endured in their young life, and that's what made them strong spiritually, mentally, and physically.
Wow, bro. That's amazing, bro. And so your mom, so y'all got the house, and your mom wanted to basically wanted to open a homeless shelter in your home, right? In the
Yeah,
same
she
home.
did. She started a homeless shelter. It started in that 18-bedroom home. And then it transitioned into a building where she was able to house homeless men and women in
Wow.
the city of Racine, Wisconsin. And do you know that shelter stayed active for 48 years until my mom could not do it again? She just could not do it. She said she was done with it.
Wow.
And for 48 years, it stayed active. And I'm talking about
Beautiful.
it provided shelter, drug and alcohol rehab center for men and women. Also, it was a place where men and women got free clothing, and also on every Wednesday, like today is Wednesday, every Wednesday, they will feed the community. Hundreds of people will come out just to get some of that soul food Mississippi cooking from my mother.
First of all, yo, this story is amazing already. Yo, we get mad comments on Instagram. If y'all want to be on the show, go to YouTube though. If y'all go to YouTube on Instagram, it's not connected, y'all. So I don't know why Instagram comments don't go on the show, but you got to go to YouTube. I put it right up on the screen. I can interact with you. But so how is she funding this, right? First of all, it says a lot about your mother's character, right? So she could have anything
Yes.
in the world. You could have been like, yo, look, I've got child 19 on the way. It's 18 bedrooms. I can do a bunk bed in one room and every kid got a room. And we chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like we chilling. What makes her like how are you guys funding that? What really made her say, yeah, this is what I have to do? And what
It
did y'all
always
either too? Did y'all like the family push back like, Mom, what we doing?
Yeah, no, no, no. It was always the community. So, Love and Charity Homeless Shelter has always been a community to the people. So, it was funded by for-profit organizations in the city of Racine, Wisconsin. Johnson Wax was always a big company that will always give hundreds of thousands of dollars to my mother homeless shelter every year, every year. And also they will fund the Christmas party. There's so many countless for-profit organizations that help my mother's homeless shelter out for years, my brother. I'm talking about decades, because they saw the positive impact that my mother was cleaning up the streets in the city of Racine, Wisconsin.
It goes. There it goes. But also, so that also helped because I was gonna ask you that before too. Like you moved into the house, like how bills change when you move into the 18 bedroom, right? Taxes change, property taxes, upkeep, maintenance, all of that changes. So with her bringing in like doing a homeless shelter and having these for-profit relationships, right, with these corporations that are helping, that also help pay, keep the upkeep of the house.
It helped upkeep the house, and you got to remember this: anything that we needed, the community always provided for
Mm,
the Hunter family.
mm.
I'm talking about, man. I remember a time, brother, my brother living in that 18-bedroom house. This was on Christmas Eve. Do you know a knock on the door? Receive unexpected gifts from unexpected people. Just leaving toys, supplies, school supplies, Easter baskets at the door of the Hunter family, because that's how good the community was at that particular time. They knew we were the biggest family in the city of Racine, and they did not want us to go and suffer or starve. So during the holidays, man, sometimes we would get home, the porch will be full of food. Do you understand that? Of
Crazy, bro.
toys, of school supplies.
Yeah, bro. I'm from
We
the Bronx. This shit sounding crazy. I'm from the Bronx. That shit unheard of. They don't leave nothing. This shit, you leave a package in front of your door, your shit gone. You shit me, that gets a message. Amazon come at the wrong time. So, for context though, how big is the city of Racine, Wisconsin? Right?
it's 95,000 people.
Okay.
That's how big. It's only about 30 miles from Milwaukee.
Okay. Yeah. So you're right there next to the big city. You about half an hour away.
Yes, yes. And also you got to remember this. I'm 50 minutes away from Chicago.
Now you keep going to Milwaukee. You better keep driving to Milwaukee. They'll take your packages out there too. I'm curious, bro. What is one of the best memories you had growing up, living that experience, and what was one of the toughest?
Okay, the best experience that I had growing up is watching my parents get prepared for the Sunday meal. Have you ever seen the movie Soul Food?
Little Big Mama in them. I'm still mad at
Yep.
that.
Yep. So my every Sunday, my mother and dad would get up at 6 in the morning, and with my older siblings, because they used to tell us that one day you're going to become an adult, and so we need to train you how to cook and look out for yourself and your family. So every Sunday they would get us all up and they would train us how to cook soul food. And so mom and dad would get us up at 6 in the morning on Sunday, and we will be start preparing. Somebody might be in there cutting the potatoes so they can start making potato salad. Somebody might be in there cutting the carrots. Somebody might be in there making coleslaw. Somebody is preparing the chicken. Somebody is preparing the pork chop. And mom and dad used to supervise us. You know, those were the best moments in our life because we were working together as a team
Doing
and
it.
we achieved everything as a team. And by 10:15, we heading out the house. Let me tell you something, my brother. Even though we had a big family, if you remember the movie The Brady Bunch, we had two station wagons in a van, and the two station wagons in the van was full to capacity, heading over to Rose and Sharon Church every Sunday. And
Mm.
we would go there, have church service, come back home, and do you know who would show up at our door to have dinner with us? Those big fat pastors.
Mm.
After they got through preaching and teaching the word of God, they will show up and they will sit there and just eat till they fall asleep. Until
Oh,
my daddy say, "Hey, Pastor, you got to go."
you gotta go, brother. You ain't gotta go home. I'm surprised y'all still went to church. I'd have been like, yo, Pastor, y'all, we got the peach cobbler. You can come through, say the word. You know what I'm saying? We gotta have service in the crib.
Yeah. So you know what? That was the best moment. And the worst moment was that 18-bedroom house in 1976 had engulfed into a fire.
Wow.
So my older brother, Michael, where he was able to get everybody out of the house except Thomas and myself. And so the firemen had to get Thomas and myself out. So my mother and father is so old fashioned, my brother. I'm talking about fire was everywhere. They took us from the second floor all the way down to the first floor. Fire was everywhere. This fireman looked in the container because my mother had like three containers, garbage containers. One was filled with sugar, The other one was filled with flour, and another one was in the corner that was just trash. They took the contents out and placed my brother in one and placed myself in one, and exited us right through the fire. And after we got out of the house, they took us to the hospital. Couple days later, my brother Thomas passed away, and I survived. And so, it really destroyed the Hunter family
Wow.
uh, a lot, because still to this day, as a 55-year-old man, every time when I hear the fire trucks, I always revert back to the house fire of my brother and myself being trapped in that fire. you know he passed away, I survived, but thank God that I was able to get the help that I needed to become a better person.
Yeah. How did you? It's a journey, brother, and it'll never. You can't get over something like that. That's not something to get over.
No,
That's not something
no.
that you got to heal through properly and all those things. But how did you deal with the survivor's remorse?
Well, it's still to this day, man. I still struggle with that.
Mm,
Um, Thank God that I'm able to surround myself with a lot of positive men and women, and I have people that are therapists that I still talk to this day, that are friends, and I have friends that are psychologists, and I talk to them about the issue that I still have of dealing with the death of my brother.
that's heavy. How old were you both at the time?
My brother Thomas was 7, and I was 6 years old at that particular time.
Wow.
And so, I have to say this: 9 months later, my father was killed in a car crash. So just imagine those two adversities, really rocked the Hunter family. Now my mother had to become the commander in chief, and a lot of my older brothers and sisters had to forego their education so they can sit at home and basically be a parent, to be like a father, to be like a mother.
Mm, that's that's tough, brother.
Yes, it is.
That's super tough, man. First of all, shout out to you and the entire family, especially Mama Love, right? Like,
Yes.
just like, how do you get through that? How do you get past that? And for her to still, and so now, once this occurs, right? Once the tragedy occurs, and it's crazy. You said his brother's Thomas. That's my last name, bro. That's the crazy part too. My name is Jared Thomas, bro. That's crazy. So I'm like, yo, and we on a Wednesday. There's a lot of things you said that were like, damn. You know what I'm saying? But the tragedy strikes the Hunter family. How do you guys get through it? How do you still maintain the homeless shelter? How, like I said, you got your brothers, your sisters, the older ones chipping in, pitching in. But like, how are you experiencing that as the youngest? You know what I'm saying? How's it
Yeah.
looking from your lens?
In my lens, I was still hurt. I grew up with a lot of resentment, anger issues, because the back-to-back deaths really devastated me.
Yeah,
Being close to death myself, and then just growing up and wondering, like, Lord, why me? Why me? Why you didn't take me? You should have, even though you took my brother Thomas, you should have took me as well. I don't want to be here. And then you going to school, and then you hiding underneath the table or the desk, because you hear the police siren or the fire truck, and it triggers you, and you just retreat. You're just traumatized by it.
big.
It was hard, but you had pastors, you had counselors at that particular time coming over to the Hunter family house 3 times, sometimes 4 times out of the week, to assist us.
Wow, man, man. Shout out to every first one. I get a horn too, bro. That is incredible, brother. And I also I kind of want to get into the mindset, right? So like, you're dealing with this trauma, you're experiencing loss, young age, you have a big family, And so what is going through your mind? Like, what are you aspiring to be at this point, right? Like, are you going through this stuff? And I'm like, obviously times change, right? Like, so it might have been days we eating steak. Some days we eating ramen. Some days it is. You know how it go, bro. Like some days are better than others, right? So how is that affecting your psyche to say, look, I'm going to change something for the family to make sure we good? Like, what are you aspiring to be at that point?
Well, at that point, years later, as I was getting help with a therapist and psychologist, I always told myself that I wanted to outlive my father. My father passed away at the age of 42. Also, I wanted to do things that was totally different from my siblings. I wanted to be the first in my family to graduate college. I wanted to be the first author in my family. I just wanted to do things that was totally, totally, different from my mother, different from my father, different from my siblings. And I was able to accomplish a lot in my life. But on this journey, I had learned that it was going to take a lot of faith, determination, courage, and the power of resilience. And there's a lot of people out there that told me no, but you know what? They came back and said yes.
Message.
Is listening to this story. Yes, you're going to get some no's, but don't let the no's stop you from your goals.
Nah, that's it. And you're gonna get a lot of no's if you're shooting a lot of shots. All you need
Yes.
is one.
Yep.
All you need
That's
is
it.
one. Yep.
That's all you need is just one. And I'm telling you, my brother, Ebony, Black Enterprise, um, newspapers outlets, dude, they all told me no. And I convinced myself all I need is one yes. All I need is one yes. And brother, once I had convinced Ebony Magazine to do it, it was on and popping, my brother. So
Woo.
now, my brother, you know what? I'm in the process of negotiating of having my story profile in Essence Magazine. So I tell young people today, you got to write your goals down of what you want to accomplish. It might not happen in that year, but it will happen if you stay focused on the journey. You will become successful in life. And believe me, my brother,
Come
it's
on.
going to happen when I see you that email that this man is in Essence Magazine. You are going to be shocked.
That is real. First of all, I got to ask you. I was going to ask you later in the show. How did you find the show? So for those listening, right, I got an email from Paul. Right, cold email straight up in there. So I know he's shooting shots. I know this is the real story. He out there, he out there doing it. He going from half court, son. So once you hit me when I saw your bio, I was just like, yo, how did you find More Than Tight? I'm just curious.
Oh, well, I was just on Instagram one night, and then you popped up, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Let me see if I can get in contact with him to see if he would like to have me on as a guest." And it happened.
There we go.
It-
There we go on
Message.
I was like, nigga, 24 hours later, boop, yo, what's up? Here's a date. It's that simple.
yes, yes.
That simple, man. So first, I'm grateful that you did reach out, brother. And so, like, so now you got the Ebony, you got the Essence. Things are starting to roll off. Like, first of all, even when becoming an author, how did you know this was the specific story that you wanted to? Because you know any story, you can went nonfiction, you can went autobiography, like you can went a lot of different routes. Why was it this that you was like, I just have to get this out?
Well, I think that because my story is a true, real, and authentic story,
Yeah,
and I think that it fits your platform. It will tell the people that you can start at the bottom and you can work your way to the top.
absolutely.
Message.
Absolutely. So what are some of the what are some of the what are some of the tough things you're dealing with right now to get the story out, right? So people see the finished product, but they don't know what it took for you to even get to that point. What was the writing process like? What was the editing like? Because once again, we're going into a new space. We don't know what this looks like. We trying to figure it out. So how long did that take you?
You know what? I have to go back to when I was working for Chrysler Engine Plant in 2008. We received notice that Chrysler Engine Plant was going to shut down and move operations to Mexico. So we had a union meeting. They said, is funds available for us to go back to school or get retrained? So I decided, you know what? I'm going to look at my family lineage, my mother and my father. And I discovered no one graduated on my father's side or my mother's side. No, they went to college, but they never graduated. So I looked at it as a positive way that they laid the foundation. It's my turn to complete it. So I
Absolutely.
said, I'm going back to college and I'm going to be the first to graduate from college. So I went back to college in 2010 and I graduated from Upper Iowa University. Now, while I was at Upper Iowa University, I was in the process of writing my book, No Love, No Charity, The Success of the 19th Child. This book and also my mother's book right here. Both of these books are available at barnesandnobles.com, amazon.com. And let me say this, both books has been adapted into the screenplay. After the screenplay had happened, now the movie will be coming out in 2029. So um,
Woo! Hold on. Hang on, gloss. Hang on, gloss through that. The movie, the Hunter family movie, is coming to screen.
it's
2029.
come it's coming to
Fire.
the big screen in 2029. And but
Fire.
writing the book, I told myself that I took a lot of English courses in college. So while I was in college, and every time when I got a break, 2 weeks off or a week off, I'm writing a book. I'm just writing a manuscript. And so after completing a manuscript, I went to go see one of my old professors. So everything that happened in my life and in my mother life, I tell people is all about timing. Your success is all about God's timing, not your timing. So on this journey, I knew it wasn't my timing, but it was going to be God's timing. So taking a lot of English courses and writing courses, I said to myself, the manuscript is completed in a couple months, 6 months from now, I will be graduating college. And
Yeah.
so I went back and spoke with one of my old professors and I said, hey, I need you to do me a favor. And she said, what's that? I said, I have this book manuscript that's going to be published
Mhm.
the day that I graduate college, and I want you to edit the book. Now, keep in mind, I had a conversation with a young lady today, and I had told her that writers write books and editors edit book. So
About right.
So it's just the truth. Writers they really do write books, but editors they edit books. But I had told her today, I said, the good thing is that you are going to learn how to edit a book yourself. And so the book, I submitted the book to a publishing company and they picked it up right away. They picked it up right away. And it took a lot of negotiation because they knew that the book was going to be a hot commodity. And also, they saw the big picture of this book being converted into a movie. And so I kept all the rights for myself when it comes to the movie. So what I was doing was because I have four children and I have a granddaughter. So what I was doing was setting up generational wealth. So when I'm dead and gone, my children, my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, that money will always come in to them.
But how are you figuring out negotiations at that point? Because that's a tough thing. First of all, it's your first time going to a distribution partner, right? We're talking about
Yes.
splits. We're talking about, back end, all that stuff, right? So how are we figuring that out? And then you're talking about IP for the movie. How are you able to retain the rights to the movies? Like you're waiting there super savvy. A lot of us don't know how to do that. We get lost in the process, not the talent.
Yeah,
That's your thoughts?
a lot of people do get lost in the process because you have to be very careful of some of these publishing companies because they can really trick you and
Absolutely.
try to get 50-50. I'm not a 50-50 man. I know what my product is worth. So I did research on it and I'm like, I can't give up all of these rights. And I said, because it's going to hurt me. And I learned, listen, I had literally learned from other publishers that had failed. I really learned from them that other authors that have failed, and I'm looking at some of the comments of publishing companies and how they failed, and some of the authors how they fail, and now they are in litigation, and I did not want that to happen to myself. So it's unique, and it's an opportunity for people just to go and educate themselves and know what your product is worth. If you have a good product, the people will grab that product and more than likely will try to take advantage of you because they know you don't have the ins and out of publishing a book and also the ins and outs of getting a movie deal done. I had just been blessed to be surrounded with people that had educated me and told me about it and gave me the information where I can just read it myself and put it into my subconscious mind myself and then go in and negotiate. And a lot of people wanted me to get an entertainment attorney. And I'm like, I don't need no entertainment attorney. Um, I can represent myself. And
Mm.
that's what I was able to do is to go in and represent myself because like I said, I'm a businessman and I'm in business to make a profit, just like they are.
Boom. So now you got. First of all, how long? I'm getting two-part question. How long did it take for it to be released from manuscript all the way to finished product? What was that? How long did that take?
Are you referring to the book?
For the book, yes.
Oh, it once the manuscript, the book was done, I was able to submit it to the publishing company.
Yeah.
And then I told the publishing company, hold on to it until I graduate from college. So I end up graduating from college in October of 2012. And so the following month, the book came out on Amazon website and also Barnes and Noble website as well. And the book is still a hot commodity today because every time I'm doing a podcast interview, every time I'm doing a newspaper or magazine publication, or I'm on television doing interviews, and believe me, the book just keeps selling and will continue to sell.
That's just fire, bro. What is the one? I told my guests this, bro. What is the mama I made it moment for you when you released the book? What is like one moment for you that you was like look back and was like, God, I'm doing it. I did it.
Yeah.
What was that moment for you, bro? What was that? It had to be one. You was like, damn.
The moment was when I graduated college, and then I had to wait like a month to get my degree mailed to me. And the day my book was released, I also had a copy of it, and my college degree came into the mail. And I'm looking at both of them like, oh my God, completion. It's about it was about completion. I stayed focused on my goals. I stayed focused on crossing the finish line. That's why it is very important that people stay focused on their journey and stay focused on crossing the finish line. Yes, you're going to have some haters while you running your race
For
that's going
sure.
to talk crazy. about you, that's going to say negative things about you, that's going to say you would never amount to anything, that person would never graduate, that person would never succeed. You just stay focused on crossing the finish line. Because once you cross the finish line, you
No.
leave everybody else behind.
And also, I like to tell entrepreneurs too, because we usually look at the end goal and it's this one big lofty goal, but
Yeah.
not knowing there's little steps, right? It's like interest, right? Every step you take compounds like interest. Every day, one becomes two, two becomes four, four becomes more. So what I do is I'm big on affirmations, like you said. I got the vision board in the crib, all that. I can't. It's certain actions I have to do. I can't go to sleep until I get these actions done. So I would
Yes.
challenge everybody who's an entrepreneur. Yes, we have the big goal, but also try to understand the little steps you have to take to get to the big goal. It doesn't happen overnight. You ain't gonna wake up tomorrow and the big goal is there, and you ain't put in all the work and go through the adversity and the trials and tribulations. That doesn't happen.
Yes. And
Show up.
you absolutely right. I tell people that success does not happen overnight, but winning the lottery does. So
Message.
yes, it's hard. It's hard for success, dude. I see people, I see people today, men and women, have their goals written out. This is what they want to accomplish in life. And guess what? They fail. They
Facts.
they get lost in the sauce. And it's like you need a mentor. You need somebody to be on you and let you know, hey, you need to refocus. You have to put, your purpose above your circumstances. And once you know your purpose, my brother, you can accomplish anything in life.
Message.
Mm. But that's a lot of us have a problem finding the purpose.
Yes,
That's the hard
yes.
part, especially in our community. Let's keep it all the way being, bro. Let's keep it a stack for them. It's hard. I found my purpose in like, what, 30? Like, I feel like my purpose is doing this. My purpose is able to be able to create a platform where anybody from any background, especially for our community, could come tell their story, not have to do the payola, not go through the bullshit, not go through hoops and loops, get their story told out, get some clips afterwards, and the thing goes. Right? And be on a platform and be like, oh, I was on the same platform as Raw Marley and this one and that one, all the bigs we've had. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my purpose because I enjoy it. That's why I can sit there and have, damn, I got to get stitches. I'm still show up because I love to do this shit. Love to do this shit. So you have to find whatever that is, and you got to believe. You got to be obsessed with it. So anybody's that
Yes.
you like, yeah, I'm with the winning lot. That happens in certain circumstances. But at the end of the day, you got to be obsessed with it. And if you're not obsessed with it, that's why your ass ain't make it. You didn't want it that much. That's the monologue today. You don't. How bad do you want it? It's gonna be days you get 16 hours, 16-hour days, 20-hour days. Some days you may not get no sleep. You got to hit a deadline. Are you willing to do it and sacrifice? I'm here right now. You saw it. I got my little one here. I'm sacrificing time
Yes.
for my child. But I love to do it, and he sees it. Daddy's working. So are you willing to sacrifice an hour? I could be playing Roblox. I could be on Connect 4, whatever we doing. Because I want to make sure we get our stories told. So for all the people listening, how bad do you want it? If there's no excuses at the top. There's only solutions. And
Yep.
nobody can hear your problems.
Message.
God, damn, that was a deep one. Sometimes you be flowing. Sometimes it's just shit just flow, and that shit is real.
Hey, it is absolutely real, my brother. There's so many opportunities out here for people, and they just have to take advantage of it. And you know what holds people back? Fear. And
Absolutely.
you know what pushes people forward, like you and I? Faith.
There you go.
Our
There it goes.
faith. Our faith. We're not afraid of a challenge. We're not afraid to change. We're not afraid to think outside of the box. We're not
Absolutely.
afraid of anything. We want to be successful. And see, each time that someone published my story, do you know what I do? I send it to my 4 children. I
Mm,
wanted to send it to my 4 children because it shows that here is a man that is 55 years old and he's still pushing it. He's still going. He's hitting it hard. And I
Yeah.
tell my kids all the time, don't you ever give up. If you have a dream to become something, keep working on it, keep pushing it. Don't you give up. I don't care what your mama, what your grandparents, what your friends says. You keep working on you because eventually you're going to kick that damn door open.
It's gonna be one time. It's gonna be one time. All you need is that one break, man. I kid you not.
Yeah.
That is so real, brother. I do want to talk about first of all the family aspect, right? Like, because now you have your own family, right? You know,
Yes.
you have your own family. How are they? What does the support system look like there? And I also want to get into the NFL journey with you and your granddaughter. I thought that was super dope. Let's get to that. How did that come about, bro? NFL predictions with your granddaughter, like that is dope. How did you come up
Well,
with?
I started it probably about 5 years ago. And so for the last 2 years, it picked up. And then I had said, I'm going to have a co host. And when I said that I was going to have a co host on NFL prediction, people was like, when is the co-host coming? When is the co-host coming? You said on this day you were going to have a co-host. Man, when is the I'm talking about men and women. They wanted a co-host. So I said, okay. One day my daughter brought my granddaughter over and I said, I need you to be my co-host. So I was practicing with her with the camera all set up and everything. And then I said, Chloe, you can't do that. You supposed to do this. And then I realized I got to let Chloe be Chloe. So we started it and I let Chloe be Chloe. And there are some times when I'm giving my prediction, Chloe is rolling her eyes. She making these faces and
I was on mute. I say, so she's watching the games with you all at
yeah,
fire.
yeah. Yeah, so people love the way Chloe and I work together as a team, and I'm excited about next year because what I'm going to do is to because I'm a 49ers fan. All right, I'm a huge 49ers fan. All of my siblings, my mom and dad, they are Green Bay Packer fans. I'm the only 49ers fan in the family. So my goal is that I'm waiting on my clearance from the NFL so I can get an NFL pass
Want to
where
put
I'm
it up
able
there so
to.
they see it real quick. I just want the people to see it. You know what I'm saying? That is so fire, y'all. So if you haven't seen Overcame magazine, him and Chloe, Paul and Chloe doing NFL weekly predictions, man. This is so super dope and fire. Make sure y'all tune in. Make sure y'all support because this is real right here.
Yeah, so I'm waiting on it to get cleared by the NFL so that way I can get my press credentials and I'm able to hit the road and go and with my granddaughter and talk to some of the NFL players right before the game and also after the game. So it's fun to train young people how to communicate and how the world works and how they can be an asset to our society.
So real, why not work? I'm pretty sure you are. Why not work both angles? Why not get some of the players now? And so the NFL has to expedite the process, right? Like I've already got boom, boom. I've got Von Miller coming through the talk. I got JJ Watt. You shooting shots already.
Yeah.
Why not have them like and do that pod or be like, yo, who you think was good this week or whatever? What did you like about this team this year? Who do you see coming up? Like even off season stuff.
Yeah. Well, during the off season, to be honest with you, I was during the off season, I transitioned from the NFL into the college basketball, So, I'm a Duke fan as well. So I was kind of disappointed that we got beat
Hell of
by
a game, yo. Hell of a game.
UConn. Yeah,
That was
yeah.
a good
But
game.
yeah, but once the season gets started, I will be able to sit down with players and do interviews, just like you are interviewing me. I will be interviewing them, seeing what's going on in the NFL, and talk about their careers and talk about life and what are their plans after football, because a lot of players after football, they just kind of, perish. They just go out and just live their life, normal lives, don't want to be around the game of football. And some of them become NFL analysts and talk about the game. And so I want to get inside their heads and find out what's the next chapter in their lives.
I'm curious, how does your granddaughter take the notoriety and things like that being on camera? She embraces it. Everything's good there. Like, this is what she want to do.
Yeah, this is basically what she wants to do. Also, she's an athlete, so she plays basketball, and so I am allowed to be her basketball coach as well. Not only the grandfather, but the basketball coach and the co-host. And so,
So,
it's really fun because young people have a lot of talent, and what you need to do is pull it out of them, and I am a multiple person. I can do multiple things at once. And what I notice about Chloe, she can absolutely do the same thing. Now, my kids, my four children, are totally opposite. I try to get them to do it, and they said to me, even my sons, nah, I don't want to do that because I'm not a talker. And I say, you are a communicator. You can talk. You just have to get comfortable of talking on camera.
but that's so dope. That first of all, I'm pretty sure you're doing it, and if you're not doing it, just film everything, man.
Yes, yes,
Film
yes, and that's
every
what I
part of
do.
the process. Oh my God, that even if you don't release it, I'd say you should, because they got to see the process and what it takes and the hard work you guys are putting in to actually create the product. That's also valuable behind the scenes content, but just to have it for the family.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? There are people right now that I have done podcasts, shows with, and now that they got deals with Netflix, with Tubi, and Netflix and Tubi had their taken over their
Distribution. Yeah.
process. And
Yeah.
so one guy had told me, he said, "Yeah, I know we did it 2 years ago, but I signed a deal with Tubi, and you are coming out on season season two." And I'm like, "Dude, we did that interview over 2 years ago." He was like, "Yeah, but they took everything over, and they going to rebrand me, and so they have all the rights to everything." But he was just telling me, he said, when I presented it to them,
Yeah.
I wanted the best story to present to them regarding my podcast show.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he said, I chose the interview that you and I did in Houston. And he said, once they saw that interview, they told him, "Hey, let's sign on this piece of paper. We got to get this deal done." They loved the interview. And so I'm happy that I was able to launch some people careers by getting deals with Netflix and also with Tubi.
Now that's an amazing thing, man. But that's also something that has to be spoken about prior. You know what I'm saying? Like, IP is something very important. First of all, that's why I'm not. I've had conversations with Peacock, Netflix, a few others. Right? They like, we
Yeah.
love your show. Yo, oh my God, you got Beyonce's dad. You got this one. You got that one. Can you package it up in 45 minutes and make it? No, I can't. No, I
Hmm.
can't. No, I don't want to. Because you're going to take away the essence of the show. Will we have that one time? Absolutely. Because my thing is, I believe first of all, sit down interviews are done. So now the evolution is this. This is the first step, right? So the first step is me and Paul coming on a podcast right now. He tells the story. The second part too, I'm coming out there. I want to do something with you, Chloe. I want to see the family house, the 18-bedroom joint, and put it all together.
Yes, yes,
Cast
yes.
content. That's the future of podcasting. So that's what I'm working on right now. I want to do something like that with you, brother, but podcasters, we got to be better with that, right? You don't want to put out some content that's 2 years old, right? Try to redo it. If they like the first one, they're going to love the second one. Make sure you get something on the back end, right? Make sure the money's right. Make sure everything's good. I just gave my rights away. Fuck you mean you gave your rights away? What do you mean you gave your rights away? No, I partnered with them. I partnered
Yeah.
with distribution to make sure that I have it for this. And then what I gave them is video. So I'm no longer on YouTube. So they control the video aspect. But there's a problem with that as well. Look at the Breakfast Club. Look at Joe and Jada. when you deal with a certain audience, not Joan Jett, they're new, fairly new, but Breakfast Club, you're watching them 15 years on YouTube. Now you think you're going to migrate that audience that's been consuming content a specific way for 15 years, and you think they're going to go to Netflix for that? They consume content completely different on Netflix. I'm not going for Breakfast Club. I'm going to see an action flick. What's the top movie on the US? What's the top show and the shit? Whatever. I'm watching Martin. I'm watching you know what I'm saying? All of that. Like, and that's what they're failing to do. And that's why this is a big experience. It's a big shift right now in the podcast space, bro. So I'm
Yeah,
curious
and
to see how that
I'm glad that you brought up the Breakfast Club because I know that some of them have been complaining because um, what Netflix did to them, it was like a bait and switch. And they missed being on YouTube because it was authentic, it was real, and people had access to them on YouTube. Now they don't have access to them on YouTube. They have to go to Netflix to watch them. Have to go to Netflix to watch them. And a lot of people cannot afford Netflix. Let's be real with that.
Let's be real.
YouTube is free. And so there are some regrets that they had right now of signing that contract. What
But
they
it
was,
had to. The
yep.
problem I think in hindsight is why did it have to be it's either this or that? Why couldn't have been an end or?
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Why couldn't my YouTube stay the same way? Because at the end of the day, my brand and my IP is not going to be as valuable unless I have the same audience. And if you're going to decrease my audience by 20, 30, 40%, when you have more eyeballs over here, what are you doing to make sure I get at that deficit?
Yep.
And nobody knows how to figure it out because, once again, they're consuming content differently. So right now, they're in the phase of collecting all this data. They're going to revamp. They're going to optimize. They're going to do with the second batch. I want to be in the third batch. I want to be. You feel me, bro? I want to be that third motherfucking batch like this. Yeah, I made all the mistakes. I'm ready. Here, I'm here. I'm ready now, son. Put me in the game, coach. And that's what we are, man. But so what's next, man? Because you're doing a lot of dope things, bro. I know a lot of people want to hit you up after this and connect with you, bro. But what is there's no mountaintop, but what are you striving for right now? What is the next big goal that you're looking to achieve, man, that we can support?
I tell you what, I have another book that will be coming out on Valentine's Day of 2027, Why Women Stay in Bad Relationship. And that book right there already has been adapted into a screenplay. New York has it, publishing company, a production company in New York um, already have the movie rights to that as well. And I'm just going to be out just writing books and just traveling and speaking and speaking to the lives of young men and women. I love the Boys and Girls Club. Give a shout out to them, the YMCA.
Yeah,
Also, paying consultant in Racine, Wisconsin, doing a lot with the young youth and making sure that they are getting educated and being the best person in their community. So I love to work with at-risk kids because I want to inspire them. I want to share my story with them that it's not how you start, it is how you finish.
absolutely, brother. Message. Brother, and we gonna talk. We got our numbers now. We connected. We're locked in, bro. So I'm doing a lot of stuff in the schools, and I got a lot of stuff popping off in New York, bro. So if you're ever in the city and in the town, let's
New York. I was there
big
3 years ago. I
Oh, you
was
got to
in
go
New
back up.
York.
You go
I
chilling.
went to Yeah, I went to hey, I went to Queens. I went to Queens. I went to Brooklyn. I went to Manhattan. One of my guys from Racine, Wisconsin, that I grew up with, he tells me, he said all the time, he said, "Man, I'm never leaving New York City." He loves it there.
I can't wait to get out this motherfucker. I can't wait. I can't wait to move. But I'll come visit every now and again. I'll pull up. I'll do the holiday and book back giveaways and stuff. I'm trying to get out of here. This shit is too stupid out here, man. I ain't gonna hold you. But I do want to say, bro, like, first of all, welcome to the More Than a Title family. We're gonna give you applause in our home. Episode 282, and this is our fam appreciation, right? Because this is real. I like to make sure I dedicate at least 2 episodes a month to the people that in the community really putting in the work, bro. That are really following their dreams, that may not have the big name, not myself included, right? So, like, you know what I mean? This is what this is for. So I want to say, brother, I'm proud of you. Brother to brother, I'm proud of everything that you accomplished. I'm proud of your mindset. I'm proud that you were that in your family. I'm proud that you kept going. I'm proud of the Hunter family in general for doing what they've done for 48 years to make sure they impact so many lives. And so your story is something that has to be shared. It has to be shared, bro. Because all that was not for nothing. And people like you and people like your mother, people like your family should be celebrated.
And I thank you. I really do thank you for giving me an opportunity to come on your podcast show.
Now, of course, my brothers. But I do want to tell you what it means to be in the community, bro. That means anybody I've spoken to before you, your episode 282, and any episode I have after you, you got direct access to. One thing we don't do here is gatekeep at all. So if you see somebody on the show, my man AD, he just put the Each One Teach One. You said you wrote the book about the relationships, right? He's a relationship expert. I just put him in touch with my other man, John Graham, who has an app about this. I want to get you brothers on a call. Throw some shit at the wall, see what sticks. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see us win. So I would love to make that introduction. I'm going to make that this week, bro. But anybody else that fits in online, you might want to have him on the show with, what's his name? I've had NBA players. I have Greg Oden, #1 draft pick. I'm going to have NFL players soon. So if I get the plug, you got the plug.
Yes.
So that's what this is about, bro. So please utilize it. And if I can't do it, I'll be the real. I might only got one ask with this dude. I can't even, know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I can't, let me get the one ask and let me see if I can turn it into 2. And you know how it goes with relationships. So I'll keep it real with you, bro. But most of my relationships are not like that. So please utilize it, bro. Please tap in. When you in New York, red carpet, you want to come to the Bronx, you want to go get some soul food, you want to come to the happy hour, whatever you want to do, I got you.
Okay.
Brother. Straight up, man. So y'all heard the story, man. We here after a 4-hour podcast yesterday. 4-hour podcast yesterday. Crazy. We had a dope story like this brother today, man. You heard what he did. He's the youngest. He's the 19th of 21 kids his parents had. They dealt with tragedy. They dealt with adversity. They overcame every obstacle. But one thing that remained, they kept the faith. Through it all, kept the faith. And he's seen it firsthand and said, you know what? I'm just going to be different. I'm going to be the one to take the risk. I'm going to do these things because everything that everybody else sacrificed before me is not for nothing. Became the first person to graduate, put out his book, has a podcast right now, has a show right now with his granddaughter, NFL Weekly Predictions, on magazines. They're touring where they're doing their damn thing. And if you can't respect that, your whole perspective is whack. So I want you guys to please support this brother. Where can they find you, bro? Please let them know. I'm gonna put everything in the description.
They can go to my website, Paul Lamar Hunter. I am on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok under the name Paul Lamar Hunter.
We're going to have everything in the description, y'all. If you reach out, reach out respectfully. This brother's busy. He's chasing a dream, man. Be respectful. Give him some time to respond, all that. And if you come from this show, please just be respectful. We are building a community here. We're not building no BS. So please, let's glow together, man. And with that being said, man, we about to do it again. Episode 282. This is a classic right here. And we're going to see y'all again tomorrow. My brother Paul going to be back. I promise y'all. He coming back on the show. We're going to make something happen. I would love to have you and Chloe on too, man. I'm going to have my son. We're going to talk. Let's do something first week 1 or something. I have my son. We sit there and talk some talk. I would love that. I would love that. But we here, man. Episode 282. Paul Lamar Hunter. Make sure y'all go cop. Make sure y'all support. We appreciate y'all for rocking with us. Episode 282. More than the title, baby.
What you know about me?